Is that like a generational problem, or is that like a Pacific community problem?
I don't think it's either. Well, okay, community. If you're talking about community, I think just like paycheck to paycheck. You know what I'm saying? But
you know what I'm saying?
I kind of know what you're saying.
Is it a black community problem?
I don't think it's a black community problem because a lot of white people are poor too.
Right.
You know, and other races.
But
I'm not gonna be racist here.
Come ride, she'll by my side. Come take a ride, with me.
Do they know that generational wealth starts with them?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think everybody knows.
I think that whites, no offense, have a better understanding that it starts with them.
But only if they were already affluent. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny you said that because I think that we as lesser don't see the value in something in the moment.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay, are you talking about in regards to like living like multiple generational homes?
Right. Like generational wealth. Like I could totally rent a house right now.
Right.
And be okay with it. And I have the credit to rent a house.
Right.
Or I could buy this little cheaper house.
Right.
And it's not a 5-bedroom. It's a 3 and they share rooms. But now I own this and now my kids are going to have this. I don't think we think towards the future. I don't think that's like a black problem. I think that's like a poor people problem. Like we don't think ahead. Like
for sure.
Your grandparents should have bought a house.
For sure.
So that your parents would have the house. So then that
for sure.
you would later have the house. And since a house mortgage is 20 years, the house should be paid off by the time you are either born or done with school.
Right. You know why I think, and this is specifically to the black community.
Right.
Because I think there are some races that do that, work really hard, and then they leave their houses, you know, and they're like, oh, we're living in grandma's house type deal.
Right.
But for black community specifically, I think a lot of the times we look out for ourselves, and when there's multiple kids and families, it's hard to decide.
Is it?
Who's going to get it? I think with some families it could be.
Everyone, let's just make this very clear. Everyone has their favorite child, whether people want to admit it or not.
For sure. But imagine, but too, a lot of black people don't know how to do that, how to leave their houses, because some people will buy their house and they don't know it's not as easy as you die and your kids get your kids.
Thank you. Somebody.
It's not as easy as that. It's not that easy.
One thing that, just because I'm literally going through that.
Yeah. With your grandma's house?
Well, we knew long time ago that, kind of, we knew that, if something happens to her or when something happens to my grandmother, that the house is going to go to who? There's me, there's my brother.
Right.
Okay, it's going to go to one of you. That was clear. So when we wrote it up as such.
Right.
It's going to go to her grandkids. We don't want no loopholes, so we put specific names.
Exactly.
And you wrote it up. I don't think like people even think that far.
They don't.
And like
they don't.
My grandmother said it when she was like in her right mind. She said it. But like when we look at her stuff now, we were like, she didn't leave us shit.
Right. Because maybe she didn't think that was something that
she had to do. We think that we're like never going to die. That is literally what I think.
You don't want to think about that. I think when you get to like your 30s, 40s, you should probably write a will if you're still alive.
I think you should, honestly, if your skin is the same color as mine, you should probably write one like
sooner.
As soon as you graduate high school.
At least when you have something to your name.
Just because you don't ever want your family to feel empty.
Right.
And like, even if you don't have anything to your name, or you don't have any money, you don't have a car, you don't have a cell phone, you don't have nothing that they could physically have,
right?
You can at least tell them how you feel or what needs to be told. Hey, I robbed a bank when I was 12. My bad.
Write them some letters or something like that.
Because I think that, I don't know if we're like, I'm saying all people, not just blacks. Like, I don't know if we're afraid of lawyers.
Yeah.
But like, we don't have wills. We don't have like power of attorneys. That's something like
that's needed.
I don't know if because like, for example, right? You have a kid,
Right.
so if something happens to you, where would your kid go?
Right. And I already know,
You would have a problem, or if something happens to you and you're in like the hospital and can't fend for yourself, right? Who would you want making decisions for you?
Right.
Would you want your mom or would you want your kid?
Right. And these are things to think about.
These are things that like you have to like discuss. You don't have to discuss it all the time. Like we made it like, all right, we want this to happen, this to happen. It's an uncomfortable situation, but I mean, it's for some, I really didn't care at that point. I didn't care, but I think that we're just not prepared for the future. Like COVID, we should see how fucking stupid we looked standing in line at stores. Like, nigga, y'all didn't have food. I mean, I was standing in line too, but I mean, I was standing in line for like, not for me,
Right.
Not for like, oh, we didn't have this. I'm standing in line so that my parents don't have to go to the store anymore.
Yeah.
So it was more like, okay, we need toilet paper. Well, there's like 7 of us in the house. Let me go get 2 separate ones. So I didn't have to leave the house for like 2 months after I went.
Right.
But like, we weren't prepared for like as a race, human race, we weren't prepared for anything.
And you know, it's funny. I think it's mostly city people too.
City.
Yeah, because I think people in the country automatically have to do things like that, where they have to make sure that they stock up just in case of emergency. If you live somewhere where a store is not very close. I think specifically back to your generational wealth point, we don't have a long line of Black folks that had things to leave, and
I think we do though.
You think we do? I mean, think back to like when we talk about slavery and stuff like that. A lot of people didn't own things and didn't start owning things until like recent, like over the last 100 years.
You're talking about like physically owning things, but just simple things.
Yeah.
Like a recipe.
Yeah, and some
like
some grandparents leave that. My grandma did.
My grandma did.
And like China and stuff like that.
But like the younger generation don't want it
because they don't see the sentimental value of it.
But
like,
don't asking, like, I know for all my grandmothers, I always asked them, like, is there something like you wanted us to know, or something you want, like what's a recipe that I can have that's from you? And I had it all down, and that might be because I asked.
Yeah, maybe.
But like I'm thinking, like I was more thinking like, well, my grandmother doesn't really own this house,
right?
So what can I have that's hers? That But it doesn't have to be like something physical.
I think
that we just don't see the value in anything of.
We don't think about it. And like people used to write journals and things like that, but the world is different now. You know what I'm saying? Like the world and the way that we're shaped. How many people do you know just write for fun?
Yeah, sure the hell.
Aside from like Twitter and Instagram posts and things like that, which you can't really leave for anyone. That's the internet. I mean, it's going to be digital footprint, but you're not going to be able to say, here's a book of all my Instagram Instagram posts to give it to your grandkids.
I'm not giving you guys any ideas, but that sounds like a freaking great, dig in the backyard hole. If you,
I think we're just not as connected because, traditionally, and I'm going to say this way because I always wish that I had grandparents like that. I always wish that I had like the grandparents in the movies, like the traditional old lady in the rocking chair that wants to be like, hey baby, let me tell you a story, or let me show you these pictures in the photo album. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I always wanted that because I didn't have that. But because my family is so far removed from each other, it's like every man for themselves type of deal. And no one's like, hey, this is our culture. This is our name. We all have different last names, at this point. I don't have that. And maybe that's why I'm not as connected to history. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why I feel like I don't have it, because I don't have roots like that. Like I barely even know who my grandmother was. And then even my dad's mom is alive, but I don't really know her either, So it's like, my history starts now, and then whatever I teach my son, and I plan on leaving generational wealth for him, but I only have him right now. So it's like, whatever I have goes to him unless I have other kids, but I actually learned about like the wills and like leaving stuff when I was working in real estate and property management, because you find that these families, white specifically, or even not even just white, Middle Eastern too, because they're really big on like, community and stuff like that. They'll do things like it's 6 people living in a 1-bedroom apartment.
If the black race could do that, I swear to God, we'd be unstoppable.
But do you think we could? I think personally, because for my family, it's hard me living with my mom.
I know, but it's like you have to put your pride aside. Like right now, my brother doesn't really live with us.
Right.
but he lives with us.
Yeah.
And it's like we always bump heads. We always do this. But I just be like, if we could put you don't even like in my mind, you don't even have to be in the same house.
Right.
If your mom lived in one place and you live in another place, if you guys say, hey, our mortgage is just simple numbers, $800, your mortgage is $900. We're going to put all our money together. First thing that gets crossed off is our mortgages, bang, bang. Cars, bang, bang. We would be able to move as a unit, even though you're in your place and I'm in my place. All of our bills are getting paid.
And from there.
But then you be like, what happens in the black community is like, oh, I see them Jordans that came out. I want them. And then you feel like, well, he got Jordan, so I'm going to go get me a bag. Now y'all short on something because you went and got that stuff. Not that you shouldn't be able to get stuff for yourself, but it has to be, we have to pay this list first, and then you can get yourself. Or you go to the grocery store and you only buy your kid food.
See, that's budgeting, and people don't know that. I didn't know that.
It's more like we can't work together.
Right.
We can't think as one, like have a common goal. We want that car, so we're going to work to get that car. I don't care how we get there, we're going to get to that car. Right. We can't do that. Well, I see those shoes over there, so I want the shoes first, and then we can work on that, but I want to sit here and wait. Like,
it's the instant gratification, you think? Especially with our generation now, people want things right away.
I want things right away, but I also know that I can't.
Right.
Like, I know... Right now, I know I want a new camera because I don't like getting up when this one stops.
Right. Yeah, guys, we be.
So when this I am going to get a new camera, and that is my goal, is to get a new camera. But I know that in the meantime, I can't let my nephew not have diapers in the meantime.
But we can work towards that together. And I know what you mean. Like sometimes some things you have to do now, and it's like, yeah, this is nice. But then I think that's like the budgeting, because I'm gonna be honest, like with me, I feel like when I started like kind of trying to budget my money, it's more so, for me, it's really hard to not see something. And it's not things that I like to buy. I like to do experiences. I like to have food. I like to take the kids to do whatever I want to take them to do. Right. And it's like that moment of knowing I have money in my pocket. Right. And I'm like, yeah, we just paid to do this $6 thing, but you guys want that, and you want that, and you want that, and you want that. And I'm like, I got money in my pocket. Right. I'll buy it. I'll do that. The money will come later.
I'll do that. But then I feel like it's okay. Like, okay, I know in the back of my head, my car note is due. I know that. So once my car note is due, once I've paid that and I've paid the important things, whatever I got in my pocket is free game. Yeah, I might be having to eat ramen noodles for the rest of the week, but after that's free game. But we can't. I don't think most people can't like put that first.
No. And I have a problem too of like, I think, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but I would save so much money if I stopped driving sometimes unnecessarily, because, and I'm not saying you don't have to drive, but like sometimes I go to the store 3 times a week.
Oh, I go to the store every day.
Right. But see, but if I would have, and it's not, and I think it's circumstance, right? Because sometimes it's just I forget things. Right. And because I didn't write down a list. Right. Because I don't want to take that time.
Yeah, some people don't write down a list. I write down a list sometimes and turn around and still got to go back to the store.
Still got to go back. Mine is I don't write down what I need, and then I need to go back and go get it. Right. And so I'm like, zoom, 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 zoom. And I'm like, damn, I used that much gas going to the store when I knew I had to go to this place later in the week. I knew I had to do this. I could have got my ass up and walked. I don't have shit to do. You know what I'm saying? I could have. I think it's making that sacrifice in the moment. Right. Of like, hey, we want to go out and go eat some steak, but it's cheaper for me to just go buy steak from the store and we can all have steak.
That's a lie, but go ahead.
I mean, only reason why I say this because like the other night I made like a steak and potato.
Oh, gee, obviously didn't make
cheesy. I'm sorry. I made like a steak and potato dinner, and it only cost me $30 to make. Right.
Damn, what the hell kind of steak was that?
It was my boyfriend's house. It was like cut up already at the thing. It was $20 for like the it wasn't like a steak that I had to like cut up. It was like already pre-cut.
Pre-cut, okay.
Yeah, and it was, and I just put it in the, in the potatoes. I bought potatoes, broccoli, some cheese sauce.
No cheese.
And then, yeah, you wouldn't like that. It was cheesy. It was cheesy. And then the steak. So it cost me like $30 to buy. Okay. And my boyfriend, and this is what I made it at his house because like he takes me out all the time, like to eat all the time, or like we're buying McDonald's or we're buying whatever. But I think it's the making the sacrifice of like, hey, I could do this now or do this later. Right. And I think we don't think about it until it comes because it's easy to put it off. Not everybody's like that, but I'm like that. And it's because of just how I grew up. Like my mom was that person that's like, you know what, bills are later. I'm gonna go get this food right now.
everybody is kind of like, I need to live now because life is too short. I think that is a thing right now, but
we should think about the future.
You should think about the future. I think you're right. I think that just because you have fun right now, it's okay to have fun right now. You don't have to always look towards the future, because sometimes the future can be scary to look at.
But are people looking at right now, or are they looking at back then? Because you know what I see a lot?
Back then.
And I think that that's part of our problem too, because people talk about how our grandparents didn't have to, it was only this much for them to buy a house.
It was only this much to buy some goddamn eggs. I am so tired of going into the grocery store and eggs go up every single day.
They do.
I actually went up to the cash register this morning and was like, can you cut the carton in half? And I have half of it?
Imagine this. If we were thinking about the future instead of the past, more people would go and be farmers. You know what I'm saying? Or try to figure out. I don't know what the shortage is for the eggs. So I'm just talking out my ass here.
The eggs is chickens obviously don't want to poop out any more eggs, because eggs should not cost $10.
We need some people to go breed some chickens. Come on, let's think about the future here. We need to
stop cockfighting chickens and start making them poop out the right kind of eggs. And stop with the brown eggs.
Think about the future here. Think about the future here. So maybe if we start thinking more towards the future, it would help money wise. But do you feel like money is the only way to get the things that you need?
Physically,
even in today? Yeah. I don't feel that way.
I mean, mentally. Well,
let me say your money. Because
my money.
Imagine, maybe I'm saying this because I've just been so blessed. And Lexi's one of the people that I'm so blessed to have in my life. But for example, you came right on time getting that bed for Elijah, because he needed a bed.
I know.
Right?
I mean, that's what he asked me for.
Yeah, but I'm saying obviously that was your money. And obviously I feel so bad about that, because I know you spent a lot of money on the bed.
It's
but
fine.
For me, it helped me where I didn't necessarily have to go out and, go get that money and go spend money. Because there's been plenty of times when you don't even know that you've came through for me. Clothes, backpacks, whatever, at a time that I didn't necessarily have it.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you for that a lot. I tell people all the time. I don't know if I tell you enough, but people know. But or there's certain things that I've had where it's I've gotten money that I didn't necessarily do anything for. It just happened to come to me and I needed it, or just getting stuff for free. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's saying, oh man, I have these pants, I have this, and this, you gave Elijah some clothes. He needed some pants. You know what I'm saying? And then you're just these are my cousin's pants. So it's sometimes I get things that I need without necessarily having to go grind and go get the money.
Right.
I don't say it's not money being spent somewhere, because obviously it was spent somewhere down the line. But I feel like I've had that in my life, and maybe for me, money is not as important because I have support in that way.
Yeah.
And everybody doesn't.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I know. Everybody doesn't. But I've been blessed enough, and I can recognize that. You know what I mean? And I hope I know when I get to the point of where I am getting in whatever money, I'm going to do the same thing and give back to those people that have done that for me, because it has set me up in a lot of situations, and I know everybody doesn't have that, and that's kind of the flaw. And I feel like if we were more community based in that way, it could be a switch off. You know what I mean? Hey, I need this right now and I can't get this, but I can give you this.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know? But it's not like that now, obviously.
Yeah, I would say, I need money.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no...
there's no way for you to get the things that you need. Yeah.
I've never accidentally got a check. I mean, lately, I'm not going to lie. Lately, I have been getting little checks, but there's nothing I can do with $1.
Right.
Or, thank you, AT&T, but the dollar really didn't do too much.
Sorry. You didn't
Bank of
help
America sent me one too. I appreciate the 50 cents, but it really didn't do too much.
Right.
But there's nothing. I'm thinking did somebody ever just hand me something for free?
No.
Nobody ever hand me do anything for no.
I think
it's always for I've done something for them,
and you've gotten it in exchange for working.
But it's never money. It's never of something that I needed or something that I would even have thought about.
It's something that you just get.
Oh, thanks for this towel. Thanks. I'm happy for it, but I mean, it's
not a towel.
Yeah, someone gave me a towel. I don't I helped someone. Lady at Target.
Right.
She had was it? Oh, it was a TV. And she was trying to put it in the back of her, it was like a 75 inch or whatever.
Right.
And she was trying to put it in the back of her car. And I was like, that's not going to fit.
Right.
And she was like, no, it's going to fit. And so I tried to help put it in. I said, you know what? How far do you live? I can just put it in my car. And it was an older lady. And I said, you can just put it in my car. I'll just follow behind you. And she put it in. I mean, the guy helped us put it in my car. And I drove it to her house and took it out. And like, I wasn't expecting money. I wasn't expecting anything. I just took it out the car. I slid it in her front door or whatever.
Yeah.
And like she handed me a towel, and I was kind of like, "Do you want me to wipe it off?" And she was like, "No, that towel's for you." And like I thought it had like I was happy for it, but then like I thought it had like something like meaningful on it. No, guys, it was just like a regular blank towel.
But that's awesome of you to even do that. You're such an awesome
I was
person.
so happy that she was not like a serial killer.
Lexi's an amazing person, you guys.
My mom would have been like, really? You went to her house? But I
mean, more like Lexi. Big Lex. I keep saying Lexi, even though we introduced you as Big Lex on the show.
It's fine. It's clear.
Obviously, you guys know that that's her. You know, that's what she goes by. But
yeah, nothing. I've never had like something. I think I do a lot of good things, but nothing ever comes back. I'm still waiting, God, just so that you know.
It will.
Mean, I'm not saying I'm doing the good things on purpose. I'm just saying
it will, because
I'm waiting.
I feel like that happens to me. I feel like I give away a lot of stuff, like money, but not to like random people.
See,
to like my family and stuff like that.
I would say like there's a lot of friends who not like, well, I won't count high school because that will make me very angry, and I'm at the place where I could be very angry. But like friends that I've met like through my college experience,
yeah,
and they'd be like, "Oh, I need $20 for gas. You got $20 for gas?" And I'd be like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever." Right. Or family just, "Oh, do I have $40? Do you have $40 for gas?" Sure,
right,
that's fine. But I just think that it like it's not like reciprocated, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I gave you $40, so if I ask you for help, you should be able to be like, oh no, I don't have it. Okay, that's cool for you to say that sometime, but every time I ask, like,
I mean, it shouldn't be that way. But I think sometimes when you help people, they need help. They're not helpers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people have that in their and I only say that because I have this experience with like my family and I'm not always the helper. Like in our relationship, I don't feel like I'm the helper. I feel like you give me a lot and I receive a lot. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, one day I'm going to be able to do that for you tenfold. But I feel like in our relationship, you've helped me a lot, you know?
I think it's different.
Some of my other like friends, they lean on me a lot for things. And I'm lucky that I have you, you know, and I don't want to abuse that ever, you know? Right. I'm lucky I have you. I'm lucky I have my mom sometimes. Why'd you say sometimes? Why can't you just leave it as I'm lucky I have my mom? I'm lucky I have my mom.
Thanks.
I'm lucky to have, you know, my boyfriend right now. He's really cool. I'm just lucky, you know, because a lot of other people in my life are not capable of that. Yeah, maybe that's some stuff that should be taught in school, you know, about like, but they wouldn't teach generational wealth in school. Of course,
I don't know if I don't know if you should teach necessarily because everyone's generation is different,
right?
And I believe that it doesn't have to be necessarily taught in school, but you should be taught something that helps towards that. Like if you're taught like what is a power of attorney, because eventually you, as in high school. And like I know it's kind of weird to talk about when you're in high school, but
yeah,
if something ever happened to your parent, you'd be the next person in line. I don't think like I knew that from a very young age, just because at one point my brother wasn't here anymore. So my parents were very like clear to me, like if something happens to us, it'd be you'd be next until your brother got here. You. Like just something as simple as that, like a power of attorney. What is a power of attorney?
Right.
Well, that means you're next person in line. You get to make decisions on our behalf, blah, blah, blah. That's simple. Or a will. Like, just that's simple. That's something that they can teach in school. Because I think that, like, some of this stuff that has happened recently wouldn't happen if kids knew, like, like, if some, like, I just don't understand, like, they don't, like, have no clue about it.
Right.
Like, you're an artist and you have millions of dollars, but then...
And you have no clue about how to leave your money. Yeah. Because they're not taught that, you know.
So if schools just taught something like simple, like power of attorney, or just how to control your money or your assets once you're gone, where they should be facilitated to. That'd be just basics.
I love that. Lexi's awesome. So I guess the bottom line is
go to school.
Go to school. I guess Lexi feels like school did set her up for the basics. I feel like school was shitty. Boom.
So maybe you should, go to school and figure out which one's best for you.
I'm always on the negative side of things, aren't I? But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that high school sets you up for success in the real world? Do you think that it teaches you anything about money? Is there anything that like maybe in a certain state, because we're in California, so maybe it's just certain school systems. So if you're not in California, or if you are in California, do you feel like that you got financial learning from school, or did it come from outside of school? Let us know. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And this is us wrapping up another episode of the Wayz Podcast, because there's always more than one way to do anything.